If you like Vampire Survivors, but you want it to be less just about mowing down legions and with a bit more purpose, while also being captivated by the room laying and blueprints, but you're just not sure if you can be bothered with those puzzles, then Into the Restless Ruins from Edinburgh developer Ant Workshop is a game you should definitely check out, and if you stick with me for a few minutes, then I'm going to tell you why. First things first, it's a deck building dungeon crawling action roguelike, except each run begins not with combat or exploration, but with construction. You're given a deck of cards which represent rooms, corridors, altars, hazards, or other opportunities, and you lay them down like a twisted architect, deciding how far you're willing to walk for a buff, or whether or not to create a little risky section that could hold great rewards. Will you put healing and light sources close together, creating a safe loop, or stretch toward greedier goals, placing your hopes deep in the ruins? It's really kind of genius, and every placement matters as the layout that you do generate, as well as your memory of it, dictates your chances of survival when night falls. It's a strategic layer that shifts the roguelike formula, as it's not just about reacting to the map because you are actually the map maker, and your fate is therefore sealed by your own hand. But what that also creates is a truly accessible experience in which you can pretty much create your own difficulty based on how hard you make it for yourself. More on that later. It's equal parts reverse dungeon keeper, tactical survival horror, and a love letter to Scottish folklore. It's brilliant. Once you've built your dungeon, the camera tightens, the light dims, and your lone figure steps into the fairy trap you designed. This is where Into the Restless Ruins transforms. You're in control of movement, not attacks, and of course players of Vampire Survivals know exactly what I mean by that, although there's far less of a power trip here. Instead, the challenge isn't in wiping out waves, it's just in surviving long enough to find the exit and the boss, or in some cases deciding where there even is one. Your torch gets closer to burning out second by second, creating constant tension, and light can repel enemies, reveal paths, and grant precious seconds of clarity. Lose the light, and you lose control, both literally and figuratively. Shadows overtake you, and once familiar hallways become hostile mazes as you start to frantically run around trying to find the exit. What's so clever is how this mechanic ties directly into your earlier planning. Every awkward turn, every ill-placed torch, it's ultimately you who put them there, so your decisions haunt you in real time. It's strategic accountability, and it works. Beyond the mechanics, another thing that makes Into the Restless Ruins stand out is the setting. You're exploring Highland ruins, and the world draws deeply from Scottish folklore, not just in the names and references, but in its soul. It's not some sort of kitschy Highlands homage, it's steeped in old grief. The spirits here, such as Amphirli Athmar, the big grey man of Macdui, or the Stour Worm, aren't just there to be slaughtered as enemies, they feel like they actually belong to a culture and a history. Your character isn't just some blank slate hero either, as you're the last in a bloodline tied to the cursed ruins and burdened by ancestral sin. The game doesn't tell you everything, but it makes you feel the weight of what came before, and it's genuinely quite thrilling for me to play a game that does feature so many Scottish folklore references. I'm not going to go off topic too much here, right, but when I was a kid at school they taught us all about Greek mythology and Norse mythology and ancient Egypt, etc. And obviously that's all cool stuff, right? But there's also a lot of really cool Scottish stuff that they just never taught us about, and that a lot of Scottish people don't know about because we aren't necessarily great at shouting about it, and we can focus on other cultures more. I'm just really happy to see it featured here. It even features Scottish Gaelic and also Welsh as language options, and again, that's something I love to see. It could be tempting to call this Vampire Survivors with a map editor, but that undersells the tension and depth. While Vampire Survivors lets you snowball into absurdity, Into the Restless Ruins keeps you vulnerable and you never feel invincible, just barely capable. And then there's the Dungeon Keeper comparison, right? It's obviously nothing like Dungeon Keeper really, but also it kind of is Dungeon Keeper in reverse. Like instead of defending a dungeon from intruders, you're intruding into the fairy labyrinth, having crafted it along the way and dodging the consequences that are entirely your own fault. You don't command monsters, you slay them, but it's kind of you who put them there. It's an inversion that works, and one that elevates the game's entire identity. The moment-to-moment gameplay is deceptively simple, movement is key, choosing when to risk a detour or when to sprint to the exit really does feel meaningful, and because combat is automatic, it allows you to focus on positioning and long-term resource management. This clean approach keeps you in a flow state and you're never juggling too many systems, but you're always thinking 3 moves ahead. That mental load, the creeping dread of your own decisions, is where the real tension lives. And as you progress, your deck evolves. New tiles add variety, complexity, and even more cursed decisions. The roguelike loop here is tight and never stagnant. The presentation complements the gameplay perfectly, as the pixel art is muted but evocative. Shadows move with unsettling grace, and light doesn't just reveal, but it defines your entire perception of the space. Audio is where the game quietly excels, as the ambient soundtrack hums with tension. There's pipes, there's drums, there's wind between stone, and everything pulls you deeper into the ruins. It's never overwhelming, it's just kind of there, watching and waiting. I swear there's a track on there that reminds me a bit of early 90s experimental dance music David Bowie from the Lost Highway soundtrack, and that gave me a bit of a smile, and it's all good stuff. At the time of making this video, I've completed all the stages, and I'm quite close to getting the Platinum Trophy, and I'm confident that even after getting that, this is a game that I will enjoy a session with from time to time, because the core mechanics and gameplay are so fun, and if there was to be some sort of eventual expansion or DLC edition, then I'd definitely be checking them out too. It's pretty unique and a real indie gem. Going back to the earlier accessibility thing, the game also offers you cantrips, which are optional things that can make your runs either easier or harder, giving you greater rewards or just letting you finish a level. It's really great to see these in action, and if you turn on all of the sort of easy things, then honestly it is a breeze, and it's great to give people that option. Likewise, hardcore people can just make it really hard and have a good time there. It's a game that doesn't shout, it just whispers and creeps, asking you to take responsibility for your own failure and then handing you a flickering torch and saying, go on then, let's see how far you make it. It's smart without being smug, and haunting without being hollow. Every run teaches you something new, not just about the game, but about how you think under pressure. If Vampire Survivors is your shot of adrenaline, then this is a game that you play after midnight with headphones on. A slow descent, a calculated risk, a memory of something buried. Whether you're into strategy, folklore, or just want something a bit different in the roguelike space, Into the Restless Ruins really deserves your attention. Cheerio!